big trait buffs, and cinder nerfs galore. Here's everything in patch 14.16 in 3 minutes. Let's go. Let's start with the buffs. Blaster gains a damage amp buff at 2 and 4, and a post-cast buff at 4 Blaster. Varus also gets a buff, with his ability channel time being reduced by a whole second. The Fairy Crown damage amp is buffed at 4 and 6 Fairy, and the Fairy Crown armor's healing, shielding, and HP is also buffed. Along with that, Lilia and Seraphine receive mana buffs, and 3-cost Katarina gets a big damage buff, especially at 3-star. Along with that, Warrior gets a buff at 4 and 6 for both the damage amp and the Omnivamp. Frost units get a buff to the 80 and AP given at all benchmarks. Additionally, Warwick gets an 80 ability damage buff, especially at 3-star. Scholars get more mana per auto attack at 4 and 6. Additionally, Ahri gets huge spell damage and spell true damage buffs, especially at 3-star. Furthermore, Ryze gets more damage on his ability, and note that these numbers scale with every bolt he fires. For trait nerfs, Preserver gets a slight nerf to the healing and mana gain, and a tiny quality of life buff. The Chrono Time Stop Stun no longer goes through CC immunity like Quicksilver. For other champion buffs, Jace gains 25% AD scaling on his spell at 3 stars. Soraka gains more spell damage at every star level, especially at 3-star. 2-cost Galio gains 5% more ability damage reduction at each star level. 2-cost Shyvana gains a bunch more AP scaling on her ability and loses a bit of the HP scaling. This is especially prevalent at 3 stars. 3-cost Wukong gets buffed at 1 and 2-star, but not at 3-star. 4-cost Tahm Kench receives 50 more base HP, and 5-cost Briar receives 5 more AD. For champion nerfs, our 2-cost rerolls got hit at all stars. For champion nerfs, our 2-star rerolls got hit at all star levels. Kassadin loses spell stacking damage and a ton of his spell shield percentage scaling. Kog'Maw loses a big chunk of his spell AD % scaling on his ability. Syndra is being thrown into the gutter. Good riddance. She receives huge nerfs to all parts of her spell damage. Additionally, her cast time is more than tripled. This makes the attack speed builds much weaker. The final champion nerf is that Karma got her ability heal removed. Next are some item nerfs. Dragon's Claw gets its healing reduced by 2.5% per 2 seconds. Radiant Dragon's Claw loses 3% of the bonus max health. The Orin TG, or Blacksmith's Glove, loses 100 of the base HP given. Mogul's Mail has 50 less base HP on its stats. And Needlessly Big Gem now goes from 5% to 20% damage amp instead of 10 to 25. Augments. First, all golems or sentinels in the game are nerfed. Their base AD is lowered by 10, base HP by 50, and their ability damage is nerfed by quite a bit earlier in the game. This is a direct nerf to augments like Support Golem and I'm the Carry Now. Silver augments buffs are Beggars Can Be Choosers from 4 gold to 7, Find Your Center giving 5% more bonus HP to your centered unit, Restart Mission now gives 3 2-star 2 costs, and Row Rejuvenation gives 1% more base Omnivamp. Silver nerfs include Item Collector 1 down to 5 HP per unique item held, Keepers 1 losing 15 shield per adjacent unit, and 1s, 2s, 3s giving 1 less 1-cost champ. For gold augment buffs, Avenge the Fallen now gives 3% more bonus stats to each of your units. Caramelized Comforts now gives 10 more HP per item and 2% gold chance per item that you hold. The augment Clockwork Accelerator now gives you 6% attack speed every 3 seconds in combat instead of 4. Explosive Growth Plus, which only happens at 4-2, now gives 11 XP per turn instead of 10. This equals a total of 44, or 4 more XP than before. The Chrono Augment Fast Forward gets a huge buff with a 15% more attack speed gain. Lilia's Hero Augment High Horsepower now gives 50% more attack speed and gives her ability 65% more bonus damage up to 300. Scholar Augment Higher Education now takes 20 less mana to proc and gives 2% more attack speed. Rumble's Hero Augment Molten Caramel now gives 10% more damage amp and 5% more Omnivamp to Rumble. The Mage Augment Practice Partners now gives 5 mana instead of 4 to the nearest ally whenever a mage casts. Row Rejuvenation 2 also gets a buff by 1% Omnivamp. The augment Vertically Inclined gets a 1% and a 2% damage amp buff, but is no longer offered on stage 2-1. The Poppy Hero augment Witchy Wallop now deals 5% more damage per wallop, and the time between each of her triple strikes is reduced by 0.10 seconds. Worthweight 1 now starts generating copies of your units at stage 2-3. 3 Zakrad is buffed, giving 9 more health for each unique 3-cost champion on your board. Hunter Augment Endless Hunt is reworked into Hunting Frenzy. Your hunters now execute enemies below 12% HP and gain 10% attack speed. You also get a Twitch and a Kog'Maw. For gold augment nerfs, Eternal Growth Plus, which is at round 3-2, has the initial HP gain reduced by 40. Fortune Favors the Bold gets a 10% value nerf to the 8 to 10 lost cashouts. However, some of the 13 and 14 lost cashouts are improved. Flexible now only gives bonus emblems for the first 3 stages. So stage 2, 3, and 4. Compare this to Gold Wandering Trainer, which immediately gives you 2. Item Collector 2 also lost 5 HP per item, just like its silver brother. Pilfer now gives 0 starting gold instead of 4, but the effect is still the same. School Mascot no longer has a death cap at the 5 and 7 breakpoints, meaning your Volibear will only get 2 items. To compensate, the bonus HP given is buffed by 5% and the bonus AP is buffed by 20. This should still be a pretty big nerf. Spellblade's damage per attack is reduced by 25% AP. Nunu's Hero Augment Sweet Tooth has its bonus HP nerfed by 100. 2 Healthy's bonus HP per 2 cost is nerfed by 10. Prismatic augment buffs include Anger Issues, which gets 5 more armor and Amar for each Rage Blade slammed. Assassin's Toolbox is reworked to now give a Prowler's Claw and an Infinity Edge right away. Dark Alley Dealing's turn delay is reduced from 5 to 3. What the Forge's HP per artifact equipped is now increased by 110. And Bastion, Blaster, and Scholar Crown now give 3 costs. For prismatic augment nerfs, At What Cost has been nerfed down to 8 XP from 16. That is a huge nerf. Giant and Mighty lost 25 HP per unit. Immovable Objects bonus armor and MR is reduced by 10%. Prismatic Tickets chance to proc is nerfed by 5%. Covering Charms, there are now 4 new ones. Copycat for 1 gold in stage 2 and 3 gives you the effect of Pilfer for 1 turn. Ironclad Spirit and Mystic Spirit both cost 1 gold and are in stage 4+. For the next combat, your entire team will gain 30 armor or 30 MR. Spawn Swarm costs 4 gold and is available stage 5 and onwards. For the next combat, your first 2 front row units will spawn a Voidling after they die. Back row Star, Enhance, Tinker, and Treasure Party are now cheaper, and Gear Swap is replaced by Tinker offered all game. Shivanate can now appear on stages 2 and 3, and Minor Gambit gives 1 more gold for winning the combat. Summon Dragon gets a huge 45-80 nerf, and the Star, Zerath Star Charm now costs 2 more gold. Finally, Desperate Plea, the Ice Block, is removed. Thank you, Mordog. And Hyper Roll, and bug fixes. That's it for patch 14.6. Make sure to sub for guides over the patch. YouTube Shorts, LinkedIn, not that one, Instagram Reels, TikTok, follow them up, and I'll see you next time. Climb on.